Yeah.
Right, I think we are finally live. It says live at my end. Apologies to everyone who's been waiting and chatting in the chat. My Mac had a complete meltdown, wouldn't do anything I was telling it. I had to reboot twice. Never happened before. So sorry to keep you all waiting for like 15 minutes. And hello to Zaheer and special guest Vini.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Zaheer. So sorry about that, guys.
No, it's okay. I was rushing because I decided to have like a sneaky cheese toasty, and I thought I was running late because I was cutting it really fine. But yeah, so I'm good. But apologies to everyone. Yeah, it's in the chat.
I even scheduled the stream like 15 minutes early, and then I literally opened the Google Hangout thing, and the computer just went nothing.
I just
a little buzzy thing, and couldn't even shut it down. And how are you, Vini? How's things?
Good, thanks. Yeah, just busy as usual, thankfully, but you know, just moseying along really.
Are you still working like a man possessed?
Yeah. Can't stop.
I think you only have one gear, isn't it? Like fifth.
Seems to be. I just can't stop working. I just enjoy it too much, I think.
Man, I wish I had that problem.
No, you don't.
No, I do, honestly. I've somehow managed to get through all of today, and I've just done like packaging, sorting, and I've not even started listing yet. So I'm going to start listing this evening. I could have done so much more with my time, but just, you know, and I went out to the charity shops, so you know, managed to sneak that in.
Nice.
I didn't get much done today, to be honest.
I cheekily went out and did a bit of sourcing when I really didn't need to. I was going to say, I don't have the chat open. I'm scared with the way my Mac is running to do anything. So
well, it seems to have caught up now. I mean, the quality is looking a bit better now and everything. So
yeah, shall I have a go at opening?
Go on, take the risk. We've got 82 people in the chat. So
quite fantastic. Thanks for coming along. If you did have to wait for 15 minutes for me to sort my Mac out again, apologies. Hopefully we'll run smoothly from here. I have no idea what was up with it. It wasn't doing update Z like you suggested. Nothing like that going on. So let's try and open another window.
Yeah, Vinny, if you want to have a look at the chat, if you open another browser where the chat is on Nick's channel.
Okay.
And then, but when you go to that, you have to quickly mute the video that's playing on his channel, because otherwise you get like the echo of us talking, and then you'll be able to just pop the chat out from there.
Right. Okay. I have the chat up. Finally, we are getting somewhere near normal.
This is just. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, hi everyone for patiently waiting. We've got loads of people in there. Tom, Silver Pirate, Leanne, CNH, Kay, Gary, Lucy, Jordan. I could go on and on. John, Wes. So welcome along to the chat. Like I said, we have Zaheer as ever, my co-host, and I invited Vini back on to have a catch-up really, and we do have a loose theme. We wanted to talk about retro toys, and I wanted to talk about what we had as kids, and if those things we're reselling, and then talk about what sort of retro stuff we like to pick up in the vein of toys as a whole, and maybe we could talk about some hints and tips and some successes and failures we've had, because I know, Vinny, you're quite keen on your toys. You've had some amazing pickups with toys. So is that a mainstay of what you do?
It's a mainstay of what I like to pick up, really. I don't go out aiming to only pick up sort of like vintage toys, but I wouldn't say a passion for them, but you know, they remind me of my childhood, and that's the kind of thing I like to pick up and just try and get hold of and keep for a bit and then sell on. I have thought about collecting and keeping vintage toys, but I see Ben doing his like videos in his like nice computer room now, and I'm like, oh, should I be keeping these toys or not? But yeah, I keep them for a bit and then, you know, just sell them on, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, you kind of get the pleasure of both, don't you? You get that collecting thing, and then, like you say, you get to look after them and play with them for a few months or whatever, and then you sell them on at profit, and then you go out and find more. I think it's great. What about yourself?
Yeah, I keep a few, but I do like to sell most of it on.
Yeah.
It always ends up getting sold on. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I think this is like an interesting topic because it also ties in like with our generation, where I suppose we were lucky in a way to be growing up around the times where we had these like really what are now cult TV shows. I mean, I couldn't tell you a great deal about the cartoons that are going on nowadays because obviously I'm not as young. I mean, even though I am a fan of Adventure Time, I've got my Homies Help Homies wristband, which I absolutely think is awesome, and I love Regular Show. But I think overall it's kind of interesting because like the stuff that we like picking up. I mean, I was really excited when I picked up a bunch of A-Team figures because I remember getting bought those when I was at that age where I can barely remember things. Like my memory is very hazy. All I remember is I got like 18 figures. I think I got Murdoch and I think I got Hannibal. Those were the only two I was allowed to have because I'm guessing it was too expensive to buy all the others, but I was still so happy. And you see that, and yeah, like you said, Vinny, there's something that just it attracts you to it.
I've had the 18 ones a number of times to resell, but I never had them at the time. A lot of these things that I pick up now, there wasn't a lot of money about in our house when I was a kid anyway. I did have stuff, but you know, action figure friends of mine had all the Star Wars figures, all the He-Man, all that. I didn't really have any of that, but since I've kind of gone back to my childhood and found it. But yeah, I didn't have it back in the day, but I remember watching A-Team as a kid. I mean, I'm a fair bit older than you, Z, so I remember it so clearly. All of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I think it's interesting because it's probably the same reason why so many guys of our age love picking up things like Nintendo as well, because it's something, you know, we love picking up NES, Super NES, and you know, like Wii U and Wii games don't cause the same kind of excitement as you know as a vintage like NES game or a SNES game, which you don't even see nowadays. But it's that whole thing. I think I think the generation that you're born in can give you a leg up, as it were, I suppose, because it, you know, that stuff is now vintage. And I suppose if you're from a younger generation, you're going to be in tune with stuff that's about to come up. If you're from an older generation, you're going to have even a bigger catalogue of knowledge to draw on. So in a way, I think it helps that.
I suppose what a good question is, would like Wii U and Wii become similar? The difference is that by the time Wii came out, it was a mass market. When I was playing Super Nintendo, it was still really quite niche. It was starting to get into mainstream, but it was still fairly niche. So do you reckon 20 years from now there won't be that, I don't know, that passion for it? I don't know. What do you think, Vinny?
I don't think personally there's going to be a similar kind of thing, because obviously I'm not so sure on computers, but with like action figures and stuff, those are mass produced now. So they're like just simply everywhere, and anyone can buy them, and they're very accessible.
But saying that, the original Star Wars, I mean, I know some were really limited, but they sold in the millions, and they are, you know, gold dust now.
I guess so, yeah. But were the print runs then as like massive as they are now? I mean, I don't know exactly, but I can't imagine they would have been as kind of mass produced as they are now.
Well, now Disney's got their hands on it. Everything's going to be like bigger and bigger, isn't it? They're just going to make tons of the stuff.
But I think part of it is also that a lot of these brands that we all know and love and want to collect and are retro and kind of desirable, I think the parts of them are desirable because they kind of, it was at the inception or near the beginning of what built those brands. So, for example, you can apply that to pretty much any item out there. That, you know, if you find a Sony digital MP3 player or like a Sony phone now, it's not going to be it's probably never going to be worth as much as one of the early Walkmans, simply because that was like, you know, the first Walkman that was released, or the first Walkman that was released in the UK. Same with Nintendo and Mario. I mean, yeah, of course they're going to carry on releasing Mario games, and for the new Nintendo Switch or whatever, they're going to carry on releasing Mario games. But is it ever going to have that same kind of desirability as like, when you had the NES version come out, or the SNES version come out, or when they first went 3D on the N64? So
there's been some good comments that actually is a really good point. Back in the day when the Star Wars and started releasing figures, they were all bought as toys and given to kids, weren't they? So the packaging was destroyed, and they were all the guns were lost, and this and that. That's why good ones in good condition really hold their value. And when they did the prequels and they released all those figures, all the collectors bought them up and kept them in the box. So there's all the ones that are out there. Most of the collectors bought them up when they were in Tesco's or whatever anyway, and they were kept sealed. Whereas before collecting Star Wars figures was a thing, as somebody said in the chat a minute ago, that they were sold as toys and they were used as toys. And it was similar with the computer games. In the SNES era, nobody was really collecting. There might have been a handful, but who was keeping them sealed? Whereas today, the collectors are snapping them up and keeping them sealed in their collection. So it's all moved on, and it will continue.
That's spotting the next thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Darren Smart just commented he picked up some G1 original Transformers this week and a complete Battle Cat, and seeing Vinny reminded him of that. I mean, Vinny, I remember you actually posting that you sold like a Battle Cat for well over what the standard selling price was a few months back. I mean,
I mean that was quite interesting, because I saw a lot of people selling it at like £5-10, even £15, and I think I went in at like £30 plus postage, and just sort of sat on it, and it just sold. And I was just like, well, like it's such a good item, and someone is going to come along at some point who needs that for their collection, and they're going to be willing to spend that little bit extra, and well, yeah, they did. So I mean, and
have you had time to go back onto the listing and have a look to see if other people have managed to get close to what you got since? Or
I haven't actually. I'll probably do that after this. But the I got a job lot with that. I picked up I think it was about 40 like He-Man figures in total. A lot of them had their accessories and stuff, and I saw a lot of them were selling quite cheap, and so I just decided to price them all at like £20 or above, and the whole lot cost me £40 for the 40. And I'm probably about halfway through selling them all now, and they are slowly selling, but they're selling at a much higher rate than the other ones are. So I don't know if I had special ones, or there was certain releases that I don't know about, but or editions, but they all seem to be going quite well. And
are they going abroad? Because when I've sold He-Man and Thundercats, a lot of that went abroad, and I was able to ask a bit slightly higher because not many people in the UK were offering international. So
quite a few have gone GSP. Before I was using the GSP, they were just going abroad, for like Royal Mail Tract. So they're paying like above the pay anyway by quite a way. Some of these models were going like £10 or £15 more than they are here, but then they were paying shipping, and then they were paying GSP on top of that as well. So they were paying like sometimes £40 to £50 for a figure. And I don't think they were particularly any better than any others that were on there, but they were just buying them. And it might be that they were just there for a long time, and so people were able to save up and pick and choose which ones they wanted. And I had quite a few of the same people coming back over and over again. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
I've got to say, definitely when it comes to action figures, I've noticed, especially with some of the Marvel ones, like if you've got like some of the Toy Biz ones, the ones that used to come on like little base plates, they're not necessarily valuable in the UK market, but people abroad are willing to pay up for them. I mean, I've had people from Japan buy them. I've had people messaging me from like Brazil and stuff, like really random places all over the world, because they're probably just not very easily accessible, or those sets may not have been released in those countries. So a good quality articulated figure may not be as easy to find. By the way, guys, we've got 122 people in the live chat already, which is fantastic. 120 people watching, and I can see that there's a lot of love for Regular Show and Adventure Time in the chat as well. So it's pretty cool.
I must admit, I've not watched that, Z. I've not. I know what it is. I've seen little memes with them on and stuff,
Yeah.
but I've not watched
CNH asks whether Mordecai or Rigby. I've got to say it's got to be Muscle Man and High Five Ghost. It's really funny. It's a really good show. But yeah, Muscle Man and High Five Ghost. It was actually my daughters that got me into it because they used to watch it, and I was like, "What is this?" And it's just hilarious. It really is funny.
Oh, I laughed out loud. I'm watching Kaz and Sean's chat with Rachel on when she holds up like Mr. Hanky.
Mr. Hanky.
And Caroline's like, "What is that?"
What is it?
It's a poo with a Christmas hat on. I remember that so clearly. That was about, what, 98, 99? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Vinny, with the vintage action figures, have you tried selling those through your bricks and mortar store, or even just having a few on display so people know to bring you that stuff, or do you not do that?
I have a few on display. Like last year, I bought some cabinets for my store after waiting many years to find some cheap ones from a shop that was shutting down. And I have put some of them in there, and a lot of people look at them for nostalgia. And they're like, "Oh, I used to have that model," or, you know, like, "Oh, I wonder where mine are," and things like that. But I don't really sell a lot out of the store. People are normally coming in for the Pokemon or Warhammer. But it's just nice to kind of fill the store up with all these like vintagey toys, because it does make people feel happy, and then hopefully they'll spend some money.
Yeah. Yeah, I did when we had our gaming shop. I started putting retro stuff out there, but it never sold in the shop. Like you, a lot of people would come and just gaze at them and reminisce, but they only ever sold on eBay.
Yeah, I've got like an
high prices in the shop, to be fair, but
yeah, I've got an AT-AT walker in the shop, and a few Star Wars, like an old Star Wars shuttle and things like that, and everyone's always looking at them and like, oh, and they'll always ask, "Oh, how much is this?" Because some of it's not priced because it's just for show, and when you tell them the price, they're like, "Oh, right, okay." So like, it's just, I think some of it is too collectible and too high end to sell in my store, because a lot of I think those purchases are kind of considered purchases when they're so much money, and that's not something they've considered buying from me before they come in the store.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a picture somewhere. I have to try and dig it out and share it of myself and Andrea when we opened our first shop, and behind me on top of a cabinet is a Millennium Falcon and an AT-AT. I can't remember. I think I sold them online again in the end, but I had those in the store just because they looked cool and it was added to the kind of ambience of the place. And I had a boxed Super Nintendo up there as well behind the counter. Yeah, a long time ago. Just going to take a dip into the chat, see what's going on. There's loads and loads of chat. A few people have mentioned Thunderbird stuff is good for resale.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, actually, you know those very small kind of figures. I think they're about 3-4 inches tall each. There's like a set of them, isn't there? If you're ever lucky enough to find like a bucket of Thunderbirds and there's a set of those in there, they're definitely worth picking up, because if you've got all the Thunderbirds and you've got like the bad guys and you've got Tracy and you've got Parker, I think you can get like 50 odd quid comfortably for those very small figures. I mean, it's surprising what people will pay up for them. I mean, another surprising one that I've picked up in the past was there used to be a 90s kind of TV show like The Simpsons, but it was these dinosaurs, and it was like they were real life puppets, as it were, like people in dinosaur costumes. And there was like a dad and a mum and like a cheerleading daughter who was like a stegosaurus or something, I don't know. And there was a little baby that used to smash the dad with a frying pan and say, "Not the mama." I can't remember anything other than that about the show, which is quite a lot still, I think. But if you do come across those,
me by completely, that one.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of the show, but if you see them, they're these little. There's like he's wearing like a lumberjack shirt, the dad is, and then there's a mum, and there's, you know, if you ever see these little dinosaur figures like that from the 90s, again, they're worth picking up, because if you've got the set, you can comfortably get 30-40 quid, you know, probably more now, but really good. Niall Gulliver says he's already smashed the like button. Darren Smart asks, I purchased an ultrasonic cleaner recently to clean up vintage action figures, Lego and such. Anyone have any experience using these? Have either of you guys used those? Or
no?
I think I've sold one once, but I've never used one. I've come across an ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, they're meant to be quite good, but I've never.
I tried a steam cleaner when we were doing lots of shoes to do the soles of them, but it wasn't that efficient really for that. You're better off with a elbow grease and a toothbrush for getting the bits out of the tread and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I've not used an ultrasonic one. Let us know how it works out, Darren. Make a video on it or something.
Steve Green's in the chat, and he's asked, has anybody ever got into hot toy figures? I would love to have a collection of hot toy figures. They're amazing, but I've not really had any opportunity to resell them. Hot toys are like amazing figures, though. I mean, they're so detailed. And
are they like the McFarlane ones? Are they gaming related, or what are they?
They're more movie memorabilia. Like, the more the kind of thing you'd find if you go into like a Forbidden Planet or something, and they tend to be very articulated. They're normally about 12 inches tall or whatever, but you get different faces, hands, etc. But they're very, like, the molds are really good. So and they can cost like a good couple £100 for a really good one. Okay.
I thought I might just share a sale. I think I shared it with you guys actually. But talking of toys and what I had, one thing I was into was railways. My mum and dad shelled out and bought me a train set when I was about 10, and I listed this yesterday. I was actually chatting to user here because I couldn't figure out what I was going to list it at price wise. I went for 75 quid. I've seen them sell a lot less. There's a few different sets of this. It's Flying Scotsman. I went for 75, which was top end of what I thought I could get, and it sold within 24 hours. So I've now got that feeling of, have I undersold? But to be honest, I was saying to Vinny before that I'm more than happy. I think
that was a quick sell.
Yeah, so
quick sell.
All my stuff is good to pick up. You can get it at the right price.
Apparently, the show I was talking about was called Dinosaurs. So
I don't remember that at all. Was that a TV show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on in the evenings.
Oh, you remember it, Vinny? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like vaguely. I think
it's terrible. It was a terrible show. Yeah.
Do you guys remember Monkey from the late 70s?
Yes,
just about.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That was something I caught up on because I wasn't around to watch it when it was like regularly on TV. But that was when I went through my phase of like watching funny, weird programs with subtitles and bad lip syncing and things.
Sadly, I am old enough to remember it being on.
I suppose really we should ask what our favourite cartoons from the 80s were. Really?
Yeah, you start, Vinny. What would you say were your favourites? Give us two.
Well, there was one that didn't run for very long called Visionaries.
Oh yeah.
Knights of the Magical Light. Pow. So that was, I used to remember walking around like department stores and they'd have TVs on and that would be running on the TVs on all the displays.
Yeah, are they the ones that had like things on their chest? Yeah.
Yeah, and they had banners.
An annual of that, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was one of them, and then probably Gummy Bears.
Really?
Gummy Bears. Yeah, I loved the Gummy Bears. I don't know why, I just did. I've actually found some of those at the car boots, and I'm slowly collecting them up. So I've got 3 so far, but hopefully I'll get the rest one day.
There's some really good suggestions in the chat actually. Ulysses 31, Brave Star. I remember Brave Star. Fraggle Rock, Trapdoor, Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, some amazing stuff there.
That trapdoor.
I think Rebecca really liked Rainbow Bright. I think.
Those
I
dolls
saw those last week.
Did you? Yes, they're quite valuable to sell as well, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, personally, I've got to say it was probably Turtles, Thundercats. I think I was just really into. I think Thundercats was probably one of my favorites because to just love like when Lino would get like his sword and it would grow.
For me, Thundercats. I'm actually wearing a Thundercats t-shirt.
Yeah, I've got. I loved it. Like Mumra was
great. I think it was called Battle of the Planets as well. Do you remember that?
That was good. Yeah,
that was great. And when I was tiny, it was all about Bagpuss and Trumpton.
But it's really interesting because it's kind of good to be able to keep on the pulse because you do lose it.
Mike's gone.
And if it wasn't for like following my daughters, like seeing what they get into sometimes as
The
well.
headset's gone all Dalek fashion.
Oh, it's done its thing, has it? Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, someone's just said the flumps. I loved the flumps. They're like little round knitted creatures. Do you remember them?
Yeah. Raggy Dolls, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, Mask. There's just
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. That was the
I
MTV
loved,
thing, wasn't it?
yeah. Oh, I loved Beavis and Butthead, definitely.
I bet you used to do the laugh.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, and the movie was fantastic as well.
Oh yeah, Wombles.
and
Someone's just said. Yeah,
Stimpy.
Wombles was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing is though, if you can keep track of this kind of stuff, like I remember my daughter when she was younger, she was heavily into Transformers, and she loved Transformers animated. You know, and that's kind of becoming a bit more of a cult cartoon series in its own right. And if you can get the toys if you can recognize what Transformers animated action figures look like as opposed to like other ones, some of those can be worth a fair bit as well. And another thing that she was into was like Avatar, you know, and Avatar the Airbender.
Oh yeah.
There's a cartoon series on that. Now there's an interesting thing on that. There's a character, like a bad guy in that show. God, Ozai, that's his name. Yeah, I've heard it enough times. And you know, she really liked that character. And I went to look for this character, but unfortunately, because the cartoon wasn't overly popular over here, I don't think they released the Ozai figure in the UK. And there was only a few of them released. When one has come up, I think it sold for over 100 quid. It was a Mattel figure, and if you saw it, you would not think much of it. But they're rare as hen's teeth, and if you did ever come across one magically, you know, you'd be in for a pleasant surprise.
Well, that's the key with this, isn't it? There's kind of layers of knowledge, is the way I see it. You know, we've all touched on different shows, and most people, I guess, in the chat would recognise a lot of those. But then there's the shows that were a bit more obscure, like we mentioned, Visionaries. I'm not sure many people would recognise a Visionaries figure, or maybe a Gummy Bear. I wouldn't recognise a Gummy Bear, to be fair. You know what I mean? So there's a layer there, and then within the niches, there's figures like you just suggested that are the rare one out of the series, or like with Star Wars, we know there's rare editions and there's rare outfits and stuff. There's just different layers of knowledge, and it depends how deep you want to go into it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like pretty much any other area of knowledge, isn't it? I mean, there's probably more knowledge than you'll ever be able to remember. But I suppose what's interesting about kind of like toys and games is it's something that most people at some point in their life have been into. I mean, there's probably very few people when they were kids that didn't get into playing with toys or whatever, just, you know, didn't get into it. That they would be at a disadvantage, but everyone plays with toys pretty much. So everyone has, whichever generation they're from, everyone's going to have like a base level of knowledge, I suppose, that they can use to look for things.
Another one, I was just thinking back to my childhood, what action figures I actually had. And the big thing for me was Action Man. But my idea of playing with Action Man was to beat the crap out of the thing. I had like several tanks and several figures, but they were, by the time I'd finished with them, they were just destroyed, like completely destroyed, because that was how I played with toys. And that's half the problem. You pick up some of these toys at boot sales and you think, oh God, it's just ruined. But that's what I did to mine. I just annihilated my toys completely. I used to set fire to the damn things.
Like that evil kid in Toy Story.
That was me. Yeah, totally. I used to climb out my bedroom window with makeshift parachutes on and stuff. On fire, you know. But yeah, I destroyed loads of stuff. But one I do want to mention that, bizarrely for me, I really cared about, and I really, you know, super looked after. And they were called Zoids. They were like little dinosaurs that were robotic. And you could buy like little tiny ones for about £5. You could up to giant ones that were battery operated. and I guess I ended up with a collection of about 20 of these. But I think I shared this story a long time ago with Tom, I think. But my mum randomly, I think when I'd gone away to university, just gave them all away to my cousin, and I never saw them again. But I kept those pristine, which was kind of irritating that they all got given away, and they're quite sought after now, particularly the big battery operated ones. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah, I've actually picked some up from the boot sales, but normally they've got bits missing, or the guys are missing outside of, you know, the little dudes you used to get, the little pilots.
Yeah, little
gold and silver ones. Yeah, they're normally missing, or the winder doesn't work. But they are really highly sought after now. So bad luck.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
And I just had Star Wars figures from, you know, being given them directly, but I got into Star Wars kind of after the event, and then I would go and buy them off my mates. So I ended up with quite a collection of Star Wars figures. And again, they all got given away, not by me, by my mum. I had like, what's the one? The Chicken Walker, I had one of those, and various of the smaller ships, and about 20, 30 figures, but they all just vanished, which was
mine did too. Like my mum gave all my stuff away as well. Mask toys, G1, Transformers.
Oh, God.
I didn't get many toys, but what I did get was at Christmas and birthdays. And she just like, you know, I was at school one day, came home and was like, "Oh, where's my box of stuff gone?" "Oh, I give it away." "Oh, great." You know, and at that age you don't care.
It's like mothers don't think to consult you about your own property, do they? It's just like, "Oh, he hasn't looked under this bed for at least a year. Must be all crap." It's like,
yeah. But how many times have you been to the boot sale and you've been buying stuff and someone said, "Oh, these were my son's. He's gone to uni," and you're like, Oh,
I know. That's exactly what happened when I had that real score with the Warhammer stuff going back a couple of years. That they literally said, "Yeah, we're just clearing out so and so's stuff from the loft," and I had a pang of like, "Oh, he's gonna hit the roof," because it was hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth for a tenner or 20 quid, whatever it was.
God.
I knew he would freak out totally, because he must have personally invested about £1,000 in it all.
Yeah, well, I had a massive GameCube pickup earlier in last year. It had just like loads of GameCubes, loads of like PC games, Lego Technics, and I got it like for about £100 for everything, and there must have been like, I don't know, £700 or £800 worth of stuff there. And they were just like, "Oh yeah, we're just clearing out our son's stuff. He's gone to uni. He doesn't care." And I'm like, "Oh, bet he will." Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be bothered about this.
Well, that's the thing. You go to uni, it's all about beer and girls, and then a couple of years later, you go, "Oh, I'm going to look through my gear at home."
Find it's been, yeah.
What about you, Z? Did you have that moment where your mum cleared all your stuff?
Not that I can remember really. I think I just broke most of the stuff I had. So I think it just broke. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember really ever having like a horrible moment where like stuff's just been chucked. I mean, I'm sure there have been conversations where, because I do remember vaguely climbing into the loft a few times and wondering where stuff is that was meant to be there and is no longer there. So, you know, I'm sure it's happened, but in a way, I suppose this kind of leads on to what we normally do when we're out looking for stuff in terms of adaptation. I mean, a lot of the toys we're talking about are only going to become scarcer to find, aren't they? So, I mean, what's the best way to keep? What's the best way to even keep abreast of what's going to be the next more likely things to find? Because we can all go looking for 80s toys all the time, but they're just, by the nature of by their age, they're going to become more difficult. So are you guys as knowledgeable about your 90s toys or your 2000s toys as you are about the 80s toys? I mean, how do you kind of square that away? That's the thing I'm thinking about.
I think you have to just keep trying new things. Like I've got into like Littlest Pet Shop and those weird Zoobles things just through taking a punt. If a whole bag full is a £5, what are you going to lose? If there's 20, 30, 40 figures in there, just take a punt, and then through taking that punt you learn a bit more. I guess that's all I've done.
I guess having young kids helps.
Yeah.
In general, if you don't have any kids, then you're going to miss all of that sort of, like, because my kids are 5 and 9, well, 6 and 9 now. and you know, they're into their toys and like seeing what they're kind of into. And you know, that's got to help somewhat, because my daughter was into Littlest Pet Shop a few years ago, and we just sold a massive job lot of that a few weeks back, and I was like literally astounded at how much money you can get for that stuff. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that now.
Yeah, I was amazed you got that price. I really was.
I mean, that was massive amount of money. It was I think there was about 76 models and 2 little play sets and a carry case, and we put it up for £225 buy it now, and we had to wait a whole cycle, but it sold at full asking price and went GSP.
Because you know, that's what I sold a very similar lot, slightly. I only had one play set, and that was the one I chose to do on auction, because the ones, when I was doing my research, the ones that had done well had gone on auction, but where mine ended up seemed round about right. So I think yours was head and shoulders above. But was that peak of Christmas time it sold?
It was before Christmas, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was before Christmas. But yeah, it was
somebody that said, that's what I want it, buy it now, I want it now, and they just went for it.
Yeah, it took about 2.5 weeks to get to them there. So through GSP.
Oh right, international. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So that was quite good.
Yeah, it was pretty again, it's insane, like, you know, the prices that you can fetch on those things. But I mean, part of it is as well how to sell it as well, isn't it? I mean, the way, you know, whether to bundle these items, how to display them, how to photograph them. I mean, that's like a topic in itself, actually, when you think about it, especially when you're dealing with things like the Littlest Pet Shop, or I remember, Nick, you did those little gerbil things, or I don't know, whatever they were running around those tubes. It just reminds me of that Electric Six video.
I bloody hate those things.
Yeah, that's it. Zuzu pets. That's it. But yeah, I mean, but again, it's there is something that, you know, that you have to think about. You know, how to package it to sell on to get the most value out of it. I mean, it's always, you know, it's always kind of the more thought you put into it, the more you're going to get from it. I mean, you know, that Littlest Pet Shop bundle must have taken a while for you to kind of set up and get looking, you know, presentable, so that someone is willing to spend the kind of money you're asking for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first cycle we did, I had a set of photos, but we took them at home, so they weren't very good. So after the first cycle happened, I took them into the shop and put them in the photo area. Got lots of nice photos, like just took a whole bunch of photos and then just picked the best ones I could pick out of there that just made them look really, really like nice, and made sure like the first shots I did were quite wide, so they made the bundle look quite small. So I did a lot of zoomed in shots, so it made the bundle look much bigger. You know,
so you got the idea of the amount of items that the buyer was going to get. Yeah,
because at first there was a lot of border around them, and I thought, you know, this is making the bundle look really small. So I zoomed like way in, and it just made the bundle look a lot bigger, and therefore, you know, hopefully they'll pay a bit more money.
When I used to do a lot more Lego, and you'd end up with a random kilo or whatever. If you put the heap of Lego on the desk, take a photo with a white board around it, it does literally make it look small. If you spread it out a bit and then take a picture so everything's moving out of the edge of the picture, the bundle looks twice as big. You're still going to quote the exact same weight, but visually, having everything moving out of the edge of the picture when it's a bundle of Lego, it just changed the whole look of it. So that's how I do the Lego these days.
I believe the photos are like just key in all sales now, because when I got my photo booth and area, I started putting the price of some of my items up, and they just started selling quicker. And now if something doesn't sell in its first cycle, I move the photos around sometimes, and that can make items sell as well. I had an Amstrad Dizzy's, hang on, I've got it here, collection from the Amstrad. I don't know if you remember Dizzy's collection. He was like a little ball that used to, like it was a platform game. But I had, the first picture I took was basically the box, and that was the first image that was up on sort of like eBay that people would see. And I think it's been through 1 or 2 cycles and not sold. So yesterday I switched the pictures around to an open box with all of the parts, and did a zoomed in photo on it, and it sold in a day for top
Wow.
asking price. So
So
I
if
think
anyone ever needed a reason to be proactive and look at their photos, that is one, isn't it, Vinny?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at the photo now, and it does look a lot better because there was 2 games, one on top of the other, and when it was just the boxes, it was just like I could easily see someone kind of going, oh yeah, just scrolling past it, but because there was the games there and the manuals and it was all spread out nice, that's obviously grabbed someone's attention, and they've gone back to it, and then yeah, they've just pretty much paid the full asking price. And
also, if somebody can see with one glance that it has its manual, it has its box, it has, you know, all of these components, similar with board games really, if you can spread it out, so just by looking they know it's complete, it's got this, that and the other, and you're happy to display it all, they might not even bother reading the description. A lot of people can't be bothered to anyway.
Yeah.
And also I found with when Andrea started doing this with Barbies, having the lead photo as a close-up of the face or something a little bit unusual, because when you search Barbies, they're all full-length pictures, you can't really see any detail, and yours comes up and it's a really nice close-up. Of course you'll have full-length pictures further on, but yours then jumps out immediately because your picture is a bit different. So we experimented with that a little bit.
And also in Barbies, I think that might also help for the collectors, because a lot of Barbie collectors will be able to tell you the difference between different head sculpts, and sometimes they're looking for certain ones, aren't they, over the others? You know, so again, it's amazing how such a fun, simple topic like toys can also be just as I think it can be quite demanding in terms of getting a quality listing up. Because obviously the competition is fierce in toys. I mean, pretty much it's one of the most popular categories, I'd guess, on eBay as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's
Yeah.
got to be way up there, like top 10 categories. I mean, you just scroll, you can just scroll forever through toys, like bundles of toys and toys and toys, and it's just like seems to be never ending. But the good thing about that is you've always got like, it's good research as well, because if you just like stick toys into eBay and just scroll them continually, you just get hours and hours of knowledge just through just doing that.
It's just insane amount out there, definitely.
Do you guys do that often? Do you like scroll like eBay a lot for research?
I will go to a category oftentimes and just go to like highest price and then
just
scroll down for ages. Yeah. Just in case I see something that catches my interest, and you know.
I used to do that a lot more. I haven't done that for quite a while. I do a lot of that while I'm researching. Like today, I was just going to show you these Dinky toys. So today, because I was trying to research Dinky coaches, there's a fair bit of knowledge I gained today just about Dinky coaches. But this sort of thing, I paid 20 pence each for these, which I knew at the time was about, actually they're not Dinky, they're Corgi, I think. No, that's Dinky, this is Corgi. But this one is so cool. What's this? Hold on. It's got double opening doors. And the cool thing about this, unfortunately, that side, you see those stickers are ripped. That's potentially like a 10 or 15 pound damage. It's got it complete on the other side. But I reckon that's worth about 15. Then this one is really cool because it's an unusual color, apparently. It's normally in blue, but it's like a car loader thing. So I've gone for 35 quid on that one.
Nice.
Paint chipping, which is the key with these guys. So yeah,
there's always people like digging through like buckets on the floor for Dinky toys. They're just going mad for them.
Yeah, and people buy the ones that are wrecked to crap.
Yeah.
Not any paint left on them, and I think, what are you gonna do with that? Really?
Yeah. There's not much money in those either. Like those wrecked up ones, they've got to be in good condition.
For all we know, they might be people out there that do paint jobs on them, and
probably.
I'm pretty sure there are. Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense because some of the prices you can get for these things are pretty insane. So I mean, there's probably like a market for custom modded die-cast cars. Definitely.
With Lego figures, people would sell like their own painted Lego figures and all sorts of weird stuff. I'm just going to dip into the chat. I think I'm miles behind. People were talking about shows that they remember. She-Ra, which was a spin-off of He-Man. I remember that. Roland Rat. God, yeah. Wurzel Gummidge. Wacky Racers. Biker Mice from Mars. Oh, my word. Pink Panther, Morph, Dogtanian. Do you remember that with that annoying theme tune? Musker Hounds. Oh wow.
I'm not going to do it.
What? Yeah, don't you start singing. Yeah, he started. Right.
I tried to look at the chat, but I can't keep up with it, so I can't listen and read.
Yeah, it's very
impossible.
difficult. It's oh god, yeah, there's quite a few comments. People are talking about cities of gold, raggy
that's a good
dolls.
show.
Yeah, so it's a lot. People still coming up with. I mean, it just shows that no matter how much knowledge you've got, overall it's always going to be a drop in the ocean, isn't it? To what's out there. Chorlton and the Wheelies. I don't even know what that is. Graham Nichols has just mentioned that one.
That was really quite weird, from what I remember. The guys that wheeled around on wheels like unicycle things. Am I remembering rightly? Who said that, Graham?
Yeah, it was Graham Nichols that said that as well.
Moomins, do you remember Moomins and Button?
I remember the Moomins. Yeah, I remember the Moomins.
They've had quite a resurgence. When we were in London, we were in Covent Garden. There's a whole Moomin shop where you can buy anything Moomin related you could imagine.
I mostly remember Moomins more because we used to use it as a derogatory term at school, rather than say you'd call someone a Moomin rather than I can't actually remember the show itself too well. But I do remember it was definitely in regular use.
Yeah, it's a strange derogatory term. They were like cute little fluffy hippo things. Weren't they? Little white hippos, that's all I remember.
Oh, now I know. Yes, now I know. Yeah,
they're probably not hippos, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was trying to see what else I had on my list that I actually had. Oh, another thing. Do you guys remember, kind of toy related, there were little stickers that I think you got with bubblegum, and they were Garbage Pail Kids. And there was
Pail Kids.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I had loads of those. Unfortunately, I stuck them everywhere. You still got yours?
I've got an album full of them at my mum and dad's. Hopefully she hasn't given it away.
Oh, wow.
But I used to have them all on, all like unstuck. And like I remember sitting in the front room and I'd bought this sticker album, and my mum and dad were like, "Don't put those stickers in that book." And I was like, "I'm doing it." And they were like, "No, don't do it. You'll regret it." And I was like, "I'm doing it." And like to this day, every time I see that bloody sticker album, I'm like, I wish I'd never done that. They're worth so much money now.
I remember seeing it on one of those American shows. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Storage Hunters or Storage Wars.
Yeah,
where
it was. Yeah.
Wasn't it one of them where someone found like an amazing haul of them? And did okay out of them, actually. Did okay.
They're actually, you can still buy them now. They still do series for them now. Because I bought some a few years ago and sold them through the shop, but I was mainly the only person interested in them. But some of the really early ones are really, really valuable. But there was a movie as well. They did a Garbage Pail movie.
Wow. Do you remember what I remember? I think I was into them pretty early when it was a big deal. It kind of faded out, series 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Yeah. But in the early ones, at least, on the backs, you could make up like a mosaic giant picture of one of the characters. That was such a cool idea. Yeah,
I think there was like different ones in each series as well. So I remember having most of those, but I think they got banned from every school, everywhere.
They were pretty grotesque. I loved them. I thought the artwork was brilliant as well.
Yeah. But they were quite derogatory to certain people's names, weren't they? So.
Oh yeah.
I think they were like, right, that's it. Everyone's banning them.
All right. Okay, I think I'm actually sort of up to date on the chat. If you guys have any questions or any things you wanted us to talk about, we can dip into things. We just had a very loose theme of talking about toys, basically.
Yeah, well, it's just an interesting one because we're all into picking up all kinds of different items, and I just think, oh, now that is so cool. Yeah, that is a cool plush, definitely.
That was from the Bear Factory.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah, I believe so. My kids bought it for me for Christmas or birthday.
That is
I'm
a
sure
cool
it does
present,
something.
definitely.
So is that a Build-A-Bear one?
I think so. I might be wrong actually.
We did
Oh,
that
no,
for
yeah.
Ellen, and because you go in and you actually put a little heart inside it, and then you stuff it.
I don't think this one's got a heart. I'm sure he did something. Maybe they didn't put one in. Maybe it ran out. There he is anyway.
Yeah, Ghostbusters is another franchise. The early toys and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, just like anything,
Fantastic.
like Gremlins and all that sort of thing. You showed a Gizmo the other day.
Yeah, I sold the Gizmo toy. It wasn't actually a very good toy when you look at it. It was kind of like the material was like a dog chew. It wasn't a very it was not a quality molded figure. It wasn't, it wasn't anything like that. But yeah, it got decent money for it actually, so pretty happy. Got a question here from Beak Nuke who asks, since we're talking about 80s toys, what do you remember from TV adverts / game toys back in the day? TV adverts. Oh God.
Nothing.
No, all I remember is really wanting the Ninja Turtles toys when they came out, and I'm guessing it's because I used to watch an awful lot of kids' TV with all the adverts for the toys, and I'm pretty sure I was advertised the hell out of. So I'm guessing that's why, because I was desperate for Turtles toys.
Were you into wrestling, Zaheer? Because I know you love the wrestling figures. So did you have loads of those?
I did, but the funny thing is, I got into wrestling more as a teenager than I did as a kid.
Okay.
And when I say teenager, I mean like quite late on in my teenage years as well. So it wasn't. It was. I think I was past the toy, the toys stage. But I mean, again, the very first set of WWF figures are pretty valuable. But I mean, I love my wrestling in like the early 2000s, late 90s, and it was quite fun to watch. And it's actually helped me out a few times with picking up figures and whatnot.
Your headset's doing weird things again. You keep like,
Oh, okay.
Dalek voice. Yeah, wrestling, I have to admit, is something I never watched. I never got into it. I've always bought and sold the figures on and off, but I know nothing about it. That's why last December or whenever it was, or earlier than that, I was doing videos where I was asking people to tell me all the figures' names. I still haven't got around to listing them. I've got about 100 waiting in stock.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Wow. How long have we been going? I can't remember. We started late, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we're coming up to an hour in about 10 minutes, I think, probably.
So have you guys got much in the way of vintage toys listed? I guess you have, Vinny, because that's a big part of what you do.
Yeah, there's a fair few on there. I've got quite a lot to go through. I've got a load of Planet of the Apes toys. I think I showed them to you before that I still haven't listed. I've just got thousands of action figures to list, just buckets and buckets full of them. But I'm slowly going through my inventory of like backlog of board games and just stuff to get listed. It's literally just a mess in my back storeroom of just like boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff to list. And wow. I'm being quite vigorous with it and making sure I list everything, even the really like low end stuff, because I just want to get it all listed and just shot, basically. That's
the point I'm at. I started today to go through what I call my random shelving unit here, which is where there's no particular order or sense to it. And I just pulled out a load of stuff and ended up listing, well, as you saw, corgi toys, pots and pans, a popcorn maker, some wooden eggs. It was just like, I have to just not pick and choose and be selective and pick out the stuff I like listing. I have to just say, whatever it is I pick up, I'm listing. And yeah, just a shelf at a time. Yeah, just like going through a shelf at a time, and like I'm not worrying what's on the shelf. I'm just pulling everything on that shelf out. I'm cleaning it all. I'm getting it all ready, and then I'm just getting it listed. And to be fair, I'm getting shot of quite a lot of stuff at the moment, like just like Boggles and an old Tom and Jerry game, Trivial Pursuit cards, like even all the games that are in bits. I'm just literally taking all the bits out and just putting all the bits on separately, and just trying to just smash through it all.
The other thing I've got to say with toys as well is, do you enjoy photographing like figures? Because I actually find that really enjoyable, like action figures. I love, even like if it's like a regular, I don't know, a Venom or a Spider-Man or something. I get a lot of joy in just turning him around and then turning him around again so you can get like the 360 view. Or is that just me?
I always get like the urge to just like, if they're posable figures, just put them in like odd poses and stuff, just to like. But I never quite get to putting them on. Just I had some Playmobil that I was photographing yesterday, and I was like, oh, this would be awesome to just put them in like odd poses and stuff. I think there is like
inappropriate poses.
Yeah, well, I think there's a reseller that actually does it. And
Yeah.
they said they had some quite good results from doing it. I can't remember who it was, but they said ages ago that they just put them in like weird positions and inappropriate places, and it's like they sell pretty well. So maybe that's
the
the thing
most
to do.
risque I've ever been is I had a Spider-Man doing that, like a piece, because he was a really articulated. He was like a big 18-inch Spider-Man figure from the Spider-Man 2 movie. It sold actually for like 40 or 50 odd quid in the end. They're quite rare if you get them, but it's mega articulated, and I obviously had a few other poses that I couldn't use, so I ended up settling on the piece.
I spent way too long playing with figures. I think I shared with friends certain, what was it I was listing? I think it was wrestling ones, and there was also Power Rangers that are really posable. Yeah, some rather risque pictures went out, but not on the listings.
Not on the listing, though, definitely.
Excellent. Yeah, it's always good fun. It's a perk of the job. You get to play with stuff while you're listing it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have some level, I suppose, of interest in the item. I mean, I don't think I'd want to do it otherwise. I don't think I'd want to sit there with, a box full of action figures to photograph it if I didn't, so it works.
Yeah, someone's agreed. Carl says, agrees here. Wrestlers are the easiest to pose. Marvel action figures are the most fun to pose for taking pics. Yeah. It's all good
definitely.
Fun. Okay, well, should we wrap that up there?
Yeah, I think it's been quite a good chat about. Someone actually said you've been talking about toys for an hour now.
It's really done. We didn't really go into much of our childhood toys. We could have just rambled for hours on that, to be fair. Perhaps we'll have to dip into it again. So I didn't actually ask you, Vinny, how was your Christmas and New Year? Haven't seen you since.
Yeah, it was really good, thanks. We just family stuff at home. Got some toys, got some Lego, built some Lego during the day, and just sort of chilled out through the whole thing. And New Year was a quiet one. Had a couple of days off, and then just got back to sort of the grind really of listing and sort of just selling things. So yeah, it was really good, thanks.
How long did you close the shop for over Christmas?
2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a half day Christmas Eve, then I was closed Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then back open on the Tuesday, was it, or the Monday? Just whenever the Sunday was. Basically, we just opened the next day that we could. That wasn't a bank holiday. And then went right
there
through.
A lot of people spending their Christmas money on.
Yeah. Well, one year I decided to take the week off after Christmas.
All right.
This was quite a few years back, and the following month I just had like customer after customer coming in telling me that they'd spent all their Christmas money elsewhere because I was shut for that week. So I was just like, I'm never doing that again. And so yeah, we just opened straight away and just get back to selling stuff.
It just illustrates how hard you have to work in retail. I remember it so clearly. Every Saturday is not your own, and holidays. Anyone say what? What's the holiday? Yeah. So I sympathise with you, mate. It's a lot of work, especially adding on the level of eBay that you're doing. It's impressive.
Yeah. It's I like the eBay keeps me sane away from the shop. Like, so just doing that is just kind of like the hobby. But it's kind of turning into more than a hobby now, because it's we're doing quite a lot of volume and stuff. So that's the next hobby out the window, I guess. And then I'll have to find another one at some point.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on and chatting. We'll have to catch up again at some point in the future. And are you going to get back into YouTube?
I hope so. I don't know what it is. I think it's I'm going to blame Ben Fitzpatrick actually, because his videos got so awesomely technical and good, and mine were just so awful. I was just like, it kind of put me off. But kudos to him. His channels are awesome. And I keep watching everyone else's, and hopefully I'll be back on my channel soon when I kind of get that oomph back to do it, and a bit of time actually. So.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people appreciate them, and to be honest, it's the content. I mean, I agree, Ben's are amazing, but mine are still shit, and people watch them. So who cares? Anyway, so thanks for everybody. I don't know what we got. 128 viewers. If you did enjoy us waffling about toys, please show us the love with a thumbs up. We're on 58, I think, if that's up to date. See if we can get that up past 60. And yeah, we'll see you again next week. Thanks, Zaheer, for co-hosting with me as ever.
Not at all. Not at all. Always a pleasure. It was good to speak to Vinny as always. It just shows, you know, if anyone needs inspiration, there's a guy that's running a busy store and doing eBay as a hobby to a higher level than a lot of resellers that are full time, including myself. So I would say, you know, kudos. You know,
Cheers.
No worries, mate.
Well, we've managed to crank the likes up to 70. So
oh, actually, before you go, can I just say a thank you to all the admins on the UK reselling group, because obviously we had a little bit of a revamp there recently. So to like Charlie, Manda Yates, Ben, not Ben. God, I knew I was going to forget everyone's names. Everyone knows who they are, the admins. They've all done a really great job, and I think the group's way better for it, and we've seen a lot of people return. So I'm really pleased with that as well. So just thanks to all of them, and thanks to everyone on the group as well. So
fantastic. Well, I think the community as a whole will probably thank you for kind of sorting that out and grabbing that by the horns, because it was a bit of a mess, shall we say, beforehand.
Yeah, it was a bit messy, but it seems to have kind of all calmed down now, and everyone seems to be getting on, and the right information's kind of getting out there. So I'm really pleased, and it's nice to see like some of the older members returning. Cool.
And actually, one last thing before we hang up, I had a message back from Lonnie. Do you guys remember Lonnie, who came on from America? And he's just started making videos again. So go and check his channel. That's called Garage Flips. He had a really rough time because their house was destroyed in the floods in Louisiana, and then unfortunately he's just made a video about this, so it's public knowledge, but his wife then got breast cancer, as if they weren't down enough. But he's back making videos, and hopefully once he sorts himself out, he'll come back on and catch up. So hi Lonnie, if you're watching this, I hope your wife is okay, and we'll chat soon, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah, brilliant.
Right, so cheers guys, appreciate you coming on, and thanks for everyone for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.